Hello everyone, welcome back to Grow Roots. This is Shannon and welcome to my October 2024 backyard garden tour. So I'm starting right here in the heart of my backyard garden and I just have to show you, guess what's blooming? Oh my goodness. I have purple hyacinth bean vine, black-eyed Susan vine blooming their little heads off, and this is exactly what the vision that I had for this vine season was when I planted all of them along this fence. So I've been discouraged because I have so many purple hyacinth bean vine planted back here. I probably have like 5 of them and they haven't bloomed all season long, but they sure have grown vigorously. You can kind of see how they're like swooping in over there. This is a very vigorous vine. It is an annual vine. I planted them from seed. I purchased the seed on Amazon, I think, and I was so discouraged it wasn't blooming for me. And then all of a sudden, I think this was October 10th through the 13th, we took a trip to California for my cousin's wedding, and when we came back, the purple hyacinth bean vine was blooming, and I think almost every single one of them is blooming now. I'll show them to you. But not only that, I've been discouraged because the black-eyed Susan vine back here has not been blooming at all, and all of a sudden it has just popped. I mean popped in the last couple of weeks. So just a really quick little caveat about those 2 vines. I think particularly the black-eyed Susan vine, it's not going to bloom when your temperatures are in the 100s and throughout the summer like that. So, and also it started loving it when our temperatures started decreasing. That's actually when they did start blooming, because we've had some massive heat waves this fall. It's been a very warm fall, way above average temperatures. It's been in the mid 90s, low 90s, but it's cooling down at night. It's cooling down into the 60s and sometimes even into the 50s. And so if that's the temperatures that you experience in the summertime, like 90s in the day, 60s at night, the black-eyed Susan vine will flower all summer long for you. But here in North Texas, this is my first time growing this plant, and so I know that not to expect a whole lot of blooms. I did get some sporadic blooms on a black-eyed Susan vine that I have in the front, and so you can watch my front garden tour for that. Those have bloomed sporadically all season long, but it's a big show of blooms now. And then this has not bloomed at all, not a single time until now in this backyard. And then purple hyacinth bean vine, it's a showstopper. It's supposed to be a showstopper, particularly in the fall. I'm just glad that I got to see it bloom. And as a result, I'm going to be able to collect some seed pods, some seeds, because all of these flowers become seed pods pretty quickly. I'd say within 5 days or so, they start blooming, or they start building their little seed pods, and then you have to wait until the seed pods completely dry out, but you'll be able to collect seeds now. So I'm thrilled that I'll be able to collect these seeds on the black-eyed Susan vine as well. So let me show you the rest of the garden. I usually start right here in this corner, and that is with this Mr. Goodbud Sedum. So Mr. Goodbud was blooming profusely. It still has, let's see, what are the bright pink blooms? They are so bright pink. They're even brighter than this, and it's coming, out of bloom now. So one thing about this location, number one, I picked this location for the Mr. Goodbud Sedum because this is a location where my dogs like to kind of go to the bathroom for whatever reason in this corner. By the way, hi Chloe. This is our backyard garden cat that chose us last November, and we just kind of feed her and keep her warm in the winter time, and she's just the best little backyard kitty. But moving on to the Mr. Goodbud, I chose this location because sedum is very tolerant of dog urine, and I wanted a plant that could survive there. However, I knew that this was potentially an issue because it's pretty wet right here. It gets overspray from the grass, and then it gets spray. Look at her. It gets spray from the irrigation. And so, ow, Chloe, that hurts, baby. So I tested it to see how it would do, and it's surviving and it's blooming, but it is not thriving. So if you look deep down into this plant, it is just not doing well, and it's too much water. I'm almost certain of it. So you can even see like leaf spot and stuff like that. It's just too much. It's too much water. So I'm going to be moving this. This is your last glimpse of the Mr. Goodbud Sedum in this location, because I'll be moving it. I'll be transplanting it from here to probably, I have a blank spot right over there, and it's a much drier area. It also, like, the soil isn't as great right there, which sedum are totally fine with. They don't need to be fertilized, all of that good stuff. So it's going to be moving. I'm probably, the reason I left it for now is because I'm going to be chopping off all those blooms, leaving some of the foliage before I transplant it. And then I'm going to really watch it and hope that it survives the transplant. I might save like a portion of it and just in case it doesn't survive the transplant, because I don't want to lose this plant at all. But it's also, it's not in a good spot there, so it definitely needs to be moved. Right next to it, this little guy right here is a Sweet William. It was one of my most awesome bloomers in the springtime, and I'm hoping, because it's 2 years old, so I'm really hoping, it looks like it's surviving so far. It's a biennial plant, so it may not survive another year, but I'm really hoping to get it to survive and bloom for me again next spring. Here I have some Vinca. This is a white swan echinacea, and yeah, I'm leaving the last few seed heads on there. I have cut some of the seed heads. As you can see, everything's just kind of tired in the garden, and so it's, you know, getting ready for its fall and winter slumber. Right next to that, this little guy is a Coreopsis plant. Again, just not looking the best, very, very tired, but it's got a lot of new growth towards the bottom, and I love that plant. It actually was evergreen for me last winter. Over here, I just planted this guy last night. This is super fun. It is another echinacea. Chloe, good grief. But it is Sunseeker's Orange Coneflower. My neighbor Aida picked that up for me. She's so sweet, always looking at clearance plants, and that plant was on clearance, and I love the orange color of it. I'm super excited. So I really hope that plant does well there. I think that will be beautiful with the white swan echinacea there, and then I have an echinacea purpurea just grown from seed and transplanted last year over there. So lots of little pops of echinacea are coming up in this garden bed. Moving along to this little border, I absolutely love it. This is Dwarf Mexican Petunia, and this is the pink variety of it. This is, a lot of these things are just 1 year in the ground, and it's doing awesome. So, yeah, I mean, it's just a really, really awesome plant. And as you can see, I think this was 2 plants to start the season. Chloe, goodness. This was 2 plants to start the season, and now this is probably like 5 or 6 plants here, a couple plants there. This one was 1 plant, and now it's 4. Like, it definitely could take over an area, but I do want it to kind of fill in here for sure. It was only 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it was only 5. It might have been 6 to start with. But yeah, so when this hole gets created, I'm debating, I might just fall time is the time to do this, y'all, but I might divide all of these, and then especially this big clump, I could put some of those on this corner and just have a straight, you know, edge of the Mexican Petunia. And then I have a Kaleidoscope Abilea right there. That's definitely staying there. But the other thing that I thought of, there's I'm sorry, that is not Kaleidoscope Abilea. This is Candy Corn Spirea. I've got Kaleidoscope Abilea on my mind for a reason. You'll see in a second, but this is Candy Corn Spirea. Awesome, awesome shrub. So that is definitely staying there. But because that is on that side, I was thinking of putting a Kaleidoscope Abilea there. I have a Kaleidoscope Abilea in a part shade location that is not doing well at all. Again, I want to transplant it. Now's the time to do that. This is going to move over there, and I think I'm going to put Kaleidoscope Abilea right there. And I did already check. It is a salt tolerant plant as well, for the most part. Maybe not as well as sedum, but it still can tolerate it. So we'll see how that goes. So that's what's happening there. Another addition right here. Oh, I can see that my dog already broke one of these stems. Okay, let's see how that goes. But I've got another Sweet William here. I picked this one up. Turns out this is the time of year that Sweet William Dianthus is all over the nurseries. I had never really paid attention until I grew it from seed, and now that I know what it is, I know what they are in the nurseries. They are labeled as Dianthus, but this is the Sweet William variety of Dianthus, and this is the kind that gets these, you know, these stems, long stems like this with the bloom heads just get full of these flowers. This one's kind of coming out of flower. I don't know why it was in flower because mine bloomed in spring, but maybe because they were grown in the greenhouse and all of that kind of stuff. Tricked to think that it was early spring. But anyway, I want to add so much more of these to the landscape, especially since they don't survive forever. So I just want to keep adding them because they're spectacular. I have a whole video on how spectacular this plant is, so if I can pop that up, that link up for you guys to watch it if you'd like. Coming over here, this is also something that I just popped in. This is Proven Winners Super Beina Peachy Keen. So this is a marginal plant. I saved it actually from one of my annual plantings. I don't remember which one, but they died back, and I noticed that there was still some brand new growth there, so I saved them, put them in pots, and I've been babying them all season long, making sure they're well watered and growing back, and they have. Again, they're done for the season, but there's a little bloom for you guys to see. Now, you may be wondering, why am I doing that? This plant is labeled, oh, stop, Chloe. This plant is labeled as an annual, and it is, except that it is perennial in zones 8 through what, 11? And we're zone 8A, zone 8B. Sometimes we get zone 7 temperatures, but this is supposed to be a really warm winter. So I thought, why not try and overwinter them and put them in the ground, let them establish their roots in the fall. Hopefully they'll survive and come back for me in spring. But if not, no big deal. That would have been an annual and thrown away anyway. Over here is, see if I can find any of the blue flowers. Nope. This is Plumbago Ceratostigma. It is a ground cover that blooms these beautiful purple blooms. I have a couple of these, but it looks like this is the last one. Yeah. Chloe, you are driving me crazy. Okay, it looks like this is the last of the last, but these are true blue blooms, and this is a lovely ground cover. It was one little plant, and now it's, you know, trying to spread all over the place, which is fabulous. It loves full sun, and it's a deciduous ground cover, I will say that, but it's going to turn, the leaves are going to turn these beautiful magenta color later on in the fall when we actually start cooling off. And I just love it. It could do full sun to part shade, and it's just an awesome, awesome ground cover. So love that. And I have another one right there. That one's huge, actually. It loves that spot, apparently. So it's fantastic. I love Plumbago Ceratostigma, and it is perennial for us. So the normal Plumbago that you see in stores right now, actually, that's not an annual variety, or that's not a perennial for us here in Zone 8, but Plumbago Ceratostigma is. Right here, oh, this is so sad. Right here is my little lime hydrangea. this spot, I just have this vision and I can't let go of it, of a limelight hydrangea being the center of this garden bed. I can't let go of that vision. I love it. I want perennials all around it, or just beautiful flowers, like a cottagey type garden area here. And the limelight hydrangea is just, it has to be part of that for me. However, this spot I can't grow a limelight in. It dies every season. But there was a couple of years, 3 years, where I had a limelight hydrangea in a container there, and it did fine. So it wasn't until I actually planted it in the landscape that it died the very next year. And then everything that I plant there since will die. And I think it's because we have a mole problem, and the moles like to tunnel right underneath it. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on, and the limelights just can't handle it. So we're going to go back to containers. Whatever is going to be placed there as a staple of this garden bed is going to be in a container. And I went and picked this guy up. It's actually, this is amazing. This is a 19-inch wide, 16.5-inch tall terracotta planter. I think it's beautiful. From Home Depot, $29, and they delivered it for free. Amazing. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to take a little walk, but the little lime is going to get taken out. It might be dead. It might be alive. I don't know yet until I see the roots, but I'm going to try and save it, but that's not going to go back there. I'm going to actually place this limelight hydrangea in the bigger pot, because this is a pretty small pot right there. This is a limelight hydrangea that I grew from cuttings, and I've been very successful doing that, to be honest, in this location. They love it here. And this actually, I'm going to train into a limelight standard. So the rest of this, unfortunately, is going to get cut off. And next season, I'm only going to have, 4 or 5 branches and 4 or 5 blooms. But it's going to be the beginnings of a limelight standard hydrangea, because this guy is a perfect central trunk that I will create. So this is going to get transplanted into the larger terracotta, and then the little lime hydrangea will get transplanted here, and it will be kept here, because this is kind of a limelight. I've noticed it is the sweet spot for limelight hydrangeas. They love it here. You can see this guy just continues to bloom for me here. Look at that, those massive blooms. They're brand new blooms. And this is only 1 year old. This was a cutting from last year. So 1 full year of growing. A little longer, maybe 1.5 years. So anyway, I'm going to put the little lime in this container, hope that it survives, and this guy is going to be placed as the centerpiece of that garden. So hopefully my plan will work, and I will be able to enjoy a limelight hydrangea as the centerpiece of this garden bed, but it won't die. That's my plan. Just moving on, like you see Blue Days of Volvulus. This is an annual that will be gone soon. It came out of my 3-tier planter in the front. I potted it up and put it back here. Same thing with this. It is some type of euphorbia that is super pretty, but it's an annual. It will die soon. I'll take those, plants out. Over here, right there, it looks a little bit crazy, but it is another verbena. I have these pots, which I'll talk about in my container garden tour, but these have these beautiful pink verbena from Callaway's, not branded or anything, just the Callaway's ones, but it reminds me of one of the Proven Winners one. I forget the name of it, but it's so pretty. Anyway, I saved one of them that was pretty strong, and I planted it there. And then another Superbena Peachy Keen is right there. You can see that one flower there. Again, they're supposed to be hardy zones 8 through 11, so hopefully those verbena will come back for me. Another Plumbago ceratostigma is right there. And then one thing that you see right there is I just planted that as well. It's a powwow echinacea. So that's, again, my neighbor Aida, thank you so much. She picked that up on clearance. It was actually $1. She got me 2 of them. I only placed 1 in this garden bed, but I've got a lot of echinacea going on in this garden bed. I've got the powwow echinacea. I've got an echinacea purpurea right there that I grew from seed. I got the new orange sunset echinacea, white swan echinacea grown from seed, and then there's another echinacea planted over there. And so that's going to be echinacea and limelight are going to be the staples of this garden bed, I think, and I think it's going to be spectacular. I've also got coreopsis that I'm going to be, let's see, didn't I put a coreopsis baby? I have a couple more coreopsis that I plan on putting in this garden bed. And then I also have a lot of sweet williams. So I have a sweet william there. I have a sweet william there. And then I have a sweet william there and a sweet william there. So this is going to be such a beautiful cottage garden if this all comes to fruition the way that I want it to be. It'll be limelight hydrangea, verbena, echinacea, and sweet william, and again they'll be blooming kind of at different times. I've also got daffodils planted here, so in the spring those will come up. I got more daffodils to plant in there too because I just want more. And it's going to be spectacular. So I'm moving on to kind of this, I have a curve on my patio, and so it creates a weird thing over here. But you know, the vine is taking over, the purple hyacinth bean. Look at that gorgeousness. I'm not going to do purple hyacinth bean vine on this fence next year. I don't like how it creeps into absolutely everything, and it actually has tried to take over my potted desert rose. I'm going to show y'all my containers and the desert rose in my container garden tour, so hang tight for that because the desert rose is getting ready to put on a whole new set of blooms for me, which is awesome. But anyway, I have an echinacea purpurea here. Remember, in this blank spot I'm going to be trying to put the Mr. Goodbud Sedum there, and then down here there's the echinacea purpurea. I had a lamium right here. It is dead. I think it just got way too shaded with the purple hyacinth bean. I do have a, let's see, what is it called? It's a sapphire indigo clematis right here. It's an absolutely awesome clematis, and I'm so happy with it. I need to go in and kind of prune that a little bit, all of the dead stuff. And clematis is very picky with pruning. I need to remind myself, I think it's pruning group 3. I don't remember, but there are specific times that you can prune specific types of clematis depending on what group they fall in. And I think this is group 3, if I'm not mistaken, but I need to look that up before I prune it to make sure I'm okay. But it's been really awesome. It's shaded down there. It's sun up here. The vine didn't take it over, which is really cool. The purple hyacinth bean vine didn't take it over, so that's awesome. There is a jasmine vine back here as well, and that's doing well. And then there's a purple hyacinth bean vine planted here. So this is another one of my problem areas. I had planted, again, lamium down there, thinking that lamium would do well. It did not. It's a problem area. I don't know what to do, except that I think I'm going to go ahead and put this rosemary in the container, because again, when I have problem areas and I've tried and tried over and over again and I can't get it, I'm just going to put a container there with something that I think will work. And I really think the rosemary will work there. The bottom part will be in the shade. The top part will be in the sun. There's not a whole lot of irrigation back there because of the way I have it set up, which that's going to change too. But the irrigation's not going to be a problem because rosemary, this is pretty well established, and it doesn't really like to be on irrigation. It likes to stay dry. So that will be perfect for right there. I also thought about putting the sedum there because the soil isn't great and it's pretty dry right there, except for the fact that there's not enough sun there. And I don't think the sedum would like that, especially down at the bottom. So that's why I'm choosing the rosemary in a container. Now, if I transplanted the sedum into a container, I might I might try putting it down there. We'll see. The sedum actually would look beautiful next to this Texas sage. That gives me, I don't know anymore. But anyway, let's move on. Tell me what you think, what your opinions are, where I should move things. But this is my Texas sage. It is amazing. First year I've pruned it, and first year that I've seen more blooms than I've ever seen in my life. So again, I'm going to be pruning this guy. This isn't the time to do that, I don't think. Late winter is the time to prune that, but I'm definitely going to be giving this guy a pretty big prune. And oh, looky here, we are expecting rain late next week, so I thought, yep, the Texas sage should be blooming here soon, and it's starting to, just a little bit, so we'll see what happens. It's also bloomed sporadically this fall. It's just been so beautiful. And then I love the look of the purple hyacinth bean vine behind it. The blooms are just so pretty. One thing too, I wanted to show you, these guys are really mature with their seed pods for the purple hyacinth bean. So that's what they look like. They're so pretty, even when they're in the bean stage. I just have to wait for these guys to get nice and crispy and before they pop. So I'll be looking out for these guys and collecting those seeds for sure. Okay, so moving on to this part of the garden. This part, I'm just going to call it the sunshine ligustrum part, because this is one shrub and it's probably 7 feet tall now. And I trimmed it up so it's limbed up like a tree. It's tree formed, so it's bare on the bottom so that I could actually grow stuff down there. And this has just, it gets bigger and bigger every year. I absolutely love it. It is evergreen. It has this beautiful pop of yellow, and even when it's not like trimmed up, you could trim it up like a hedge if you wanted to, like really super dense, but you don't have to. And I think it looks beautiful this way in its natural form. But what it's doing is it's making it so that I can't grow anything else down here for the most part unless it's shade. So I did plant, I'm gonna go show you. Let me get down there. Again, lots of purple hyacinth bean. I have a Mystic Spires blue salvia there, but to be honest, it just doesn't get enough sun here. They can take part sun, but this has become almost a completely shaded area. So Mystic Spires blue salvia also needs to be transplanted. I forgot about that. Oh my, where am I going to transplant you? And I don't know that you'll survive, to be honest. This guy is my puppy. This is also where the raccoons come in to our garden, and so, or to our backyard. We have a raccoon problem, y'all. But this is where they come in, and this gets trampled by both the raccoons and the dogs. So we actually might not be able to save this guy anyway. But down here is the Burgundy Glow Ajuga. I need to trim this up. Like, this needs a little bit of maintenance. I'm just looking at that too. Down here, it's just, yeah, I'm gonna get some shade plants. I'm gonna get probably some hosta. I do have some other shade plants. I have a leopard plant. I have 2 leopard plants actually. One is a spotted leopard plant, regular leopard plant. And then what are my other ones? It's a Brunnera. Anyway, it's in a container on my front porch. And what I'm thinking is I might transplant those into the ground over here and see how they do. We'll just have to see about that. Moving on, I have another Texas sage right there. And again, it's getting less and less sun the bigger this sunshine ligustrum gets. So the sunshine ligustrum is definitely taking over this garden bed. It's not necessarily a bad thing because I love it. It's transforming the landscape because it's transforming the micro environment that the plants are living in. If they don't get enough sun, they're not going to survive. A Texas sage is probably one of them, but it's surviving so far. So my plan is to keep it there because it does get some sun. I just need to keep this sunshine ligustrum probably more limbed up and more trimmed so it doesn't take up all of the garden bed. But you can see down here too, let me see if I can get around. See this, y'all? And I just stepped on Chloe. Oh, goodness gracious. So here's another part of my garden. Down here is another limelight hydrangea. This guy is, again, one of my cuttings. And I just wanted to see what a panicle hydrangea would do in part shade. And it's actually been a lot part shade. And I wanted to see if it would thrive here or how it would work. And I've figured out my answer. It's pretty tall and spindly. And I did have some blooms, just a couple of obviously, and it just fell off. So it will survive. It does not thrive. So panicle hydrangeas, they're just tough here in North Texas, let me tell you. It just is. You got to find a sweet spot like I did. I know my sweet spot, but it's over there on my patio. So all of my limelights might just stay in containers over there. Who knows? But anyway, this guy was an experiment for me. I'm going to keep it there because I don't know what else to put there for now. So it's going to stay. I have an Echinacea purpurea here, and then all of this is going to go. So here is the purple hyacinth bean vine again. You can't even see it, but I do have a water feature up there. The water feature is not working, but it is an archway, squared archway, and I planted one purple hyacinth bean vine plant right there to climb all the way up on this side, and then I planted one on the other side of the archway to climb up, and they have taken over. Look at that. They've become like a shrub, like a 10-foot shrub. Look at those beautiful blooms. So, and they're finally blooming, which I'm super happy about. There's those seed pods, but I'm not going to do purple hyacinth bean vine here ever again. It has made this whole area complete shade as well, because our sun comes in from over here. But when all of that is taken over by purple hyacinth bean vine, this has become shade, and these plants don't necessarily like that. So let me show you one thing real quick before we move on. I have pink muley grass here. And again, I thought this would be more of a sun location before the purple hyacinth bean vine took over and before Sunshine Ligustrum took over. And this is its first year in the ground, and it's okay, but it is not blooming for sure. And I think that's going to get transplanted. I don't know where though. So let's see if we can get past all of this vine craziness. I literally had to rip myself a little pathway. Here's my Echinacea purpurea. It gets very tall back here. And this is where the purple hyacinth bean vine is planted. It had a little thing to help it get started. It doesn't need that now. And it's all the way up, as you can see on this archway. So I think I'm going to do black-eyed Susan vine on this guy next year for sure. I also have cannas that are all over here and all over there. They're being ripped out. I don't think I'm going to plant anything there for a little bit to try and see what's going on. But the cannas have not done well the last couple years there, and I'm not sure why. So I'm just going to create a little bit of an open space there, I think. Right here is a midnight marvel hibiscus that is hanging on for dear life, not getting enough sun because of the purple hyacinth bean vine. The poor thing. It really is trying, and you know, trying to survive. It's just, but I'm gonna let that guy get a lot more sun next year. I'm not gonna let the purple hyacinth bean vine, like I said, do that. So we're gonna try one more time. Next year will be its third year, which it's supposed to leap next year. So hopefully if it gets enough sun, it will do really, really, really well. But it's still an amazing plant with bright red blooms. And then I do have a perennial vine over here. I can see there's some purple hyacinth bean vine that's here but dead. Or is it this guy? Oh no, it's this guy. Okay, because this guy is probably not getting enough sun too. The purple hyacinth bean vine is taking over. But this is coral honeysuckle. And it is perennial. It is also evergreen. It was evergreen last year. It was just this itty bitty baby plant last fall. It went up to here, and it's huge now. It's gone all the way over here. It's gone about 12 feet that way. So I'm kind of eager for the purple hyacinth bean vine to die off, for me to get all of that out, and for this to just be coral honeysuckle again. I went vine crazy this year for a reason, and I'm glad I had the experience, but I'm ready to kind of tone back on the vines a little bit next year for sure. So anyway, that's what's back here. And we're going to go back up there so that you can see my other perennial vine, the Tangerine Beauty Cross Vine. Okay, so here's where we just were. It does look beautiful, like from up here on the patio for sure. But here is my Tangerine Beauty Cross Vine, and the sun is kind of coming up. I hope that y'all can see that. The sun is definitely in my eyes, but I don't think it's, I think that's a beautiful picture actually with the sun backlighting this. But I have 4 beautiful trellises that my husband built, and then this is the second year for 4 different Tangerine Beauty Cross Vines. And it's my favorite vine I've ever grown to date. But look at this. Oh, I love these blooms so much. And in the spring, it's covered with them. I have a whole video again on Tangerine Beauty Crossvine. So if you're curious about it, want to know more about it, please click on that link and you can see, learn all about it. But I absolutely love what this does to the edge of our backyard. Creates privacy, a little bit of privacy for us, and this is evergreen as well. So these will turn a little bit purple in the winter time, but they are evergreen, and they're filling in so beautifully. They bloom profusely in the spring and then sporadically the rest of the year. It's getting ready for a really big bloom actually. I'm seeing a lot of blooms coming up. So anyway, just the most spectacular vine ever. It is perennial for us here in Zone 8. And to learn more about it, please watch that video. And now on to one of the last parts of my garden. And this is my part shade garden area. Again, I've got some things going on here. Oh, Gummy, look at that. She's digging a hole there. Fabulous. I've got a lot of things going on here. So let me start with, there's just some Vinca there, and then some Zenia volunteers. These are seeds from a container that had Vinca, Zenias, and then more seedlings are coming up there as well. But those are so beautiful with this plant in the background, which is Greg's Blue Mistflower. So Greg's Blue Mistflower is a full sun plant. It can take part sun, but it's a little leggy in part sun and it wants to take over. It actually still does pretty good. Hold on, I'm gonna take this. I have a little pile of cannas that I've taken out and some other things, so disregard that. But here is Greg's Blue Mistflower. I keep doing that. This is actually where it's planted. This is where it is spreading. It's so crazy. I do love it. It's beautiful there. I haven't seen a lot of butterflies on it, and I'm really sad about that. The queen butterflies and monarch butterflies love this plant. We had monarch butterflies all throughout our area the last couple weeks because they're migrating down to Mexico. I didn't see a single monarch on it, and everybody that has it has Greg's Mistflower all over the place and butterflies all over the place. But maybe because this is new for this year and they don't know that it's there, I have no idea. But the butterflies are not digging this plant yet, but I am, honestly. Look how gorgeous it is. It's kind of become a ground cover, which is really interesting. I'm gonna let it happen. I'm all about it. That if you want to be a ground cover over here, go for it, because it's gorgeous. It's so pretty. Let me see. Look at that. It's lovely. So that's Greg's Mistflower. That is a peony, and it's done for the season. I'm surprised it's not dormant already, to be honest. I've got some cannas there. I don't know. I might keep only those cannas. Those might be the only cannas that I keep in the entire place. But because I do like them there by that barbecue. And they kind of shade the peony they overtake that area, honestly, is the problem, and they help shade that peony. Here is a boxwood. I have some purple heart Tradescantia here. I have a daylily here that it's a peach daylily, and wow, it looks like I could definitely divide this into several daylilies, so that's super fun. I probably will do that soon. Coming back here, I know that you probably see this and you see weeds. This is actually a wild passion vine. It's yellow passion vine, and it's a host plant for the Gulf fritillary butterflies. And so I learned the hard way that if I decimate this plant and take it out, they have nowhere to breed. And so I have been allowing some of this passion vine to grow specifically for the Gulf fritillary butterfly because it is the host plant for that. So that's why you see that. It's not a weed to me. It's definitely not a weed to the butterflies. So anyway, I'm keeping it. But right here is an amaryllis. This is a rapido amaryllis. This was a baby to begin this spring. The mama is right there amongst those canna lilies, and it's thriving. I think it pushed out another baby that I could separate. So this is going to be my amaryllis and daylily garden bed. I think I have decided. This is a part shade location, perfect for daylilies, perfect for the amaryllis. Honestly, they do like full sun, but I want them to be a little bit shielded in the winter time too, because they're marginal to survive here in the ground, but they do. And I think they're thriving already, so I'm just going to fill this up, I think, with daylilies and amaryllis, and I think that's going to be beautiful in the springtime. So I'm working on filling up this area. Right here was a rose mallow, and it actually does really well here in this part shade location, except for the fact that the grasshoppers decimate it every year. It's kind of like a white, beautiful white color, and the grasshoppers just completely have killed it, really. I allowed that to happen because I kind of left some other things alone. So I'm debating on whether to keep that rose mallow there or to just continue to let it grow there, knowing that that's going to be my grasshopper magnet and make them leave a lot of my other things alone. I'm not sure. I haven't decided yet. Right here, that ground cover that you see is Vinca, variegated Vinca major. So it was a cutting, maybe 2 cuttings like a year ago, and now it's filling in this area, so that's lovely. I had a lot more purple heart here, like as a complete border, but my dog, my puppy, keeps coming back here and decimating. Like, she runs through it, like she thinks it's fun to run through the purple heart and to break it. That's what her idea of fun is. I cannot wait until she is past this puppy stage, y'all. She's ruining things, but hopefully she'll be past that next year and this will be able to grow in strong again. I'm trying to get it to grow all along as this border, but in the shade it's having a harder time. I put cuttings all through there, but it's having a harder time establishing itself over there. So from here all the way to like there, this is my shade bed. This is my hydrangea hedge. And then I've also planted begonias. A whole flat of begonias is planted along here because this is a perfect spot for it. And I'm so glad I did that. It's just a beautiful pop of color along with the hydrangeas. So here's the first one that I have. So yeah, it's doing really well. Here's one of the blooms that's aging. It's absolutely beautiful. There's another one down there. And then it's interesting because they all are like kind of different heights, and they were planted at the same time. I think this is their 2nd or 3rd year in the ground. But yeah, I had a big problem with chlorosis. So that means it's an iron deficiency. And if you could see this leaf right there, it's still the remnants of that chlorosis, but I treated it with a lot of chelated iron. soil acidifier, and then really honestly what really did the trick was coffee grounds. I started saving my coffee grounds and putting them out there at the base of each plant, and that really helped with the chlorosis for me in my experience. This is my smallest one right there, but still it's doing great. And then I've got some bigger ones. I hope that this creates a huge hedge. And if not, this is something I am going to do every single year, is plant begonias all throughout until they completely fill in this area, because I absolutely love the begonias. They do really well in the shade, and I think they're just really awesome. So there they are. Here's a whole like grouping of them that are just absolutely beautiful. I have a Brunnera right here. It's just getting established this year. We had some issues with the drip irrigation that we switched to, and it may not get enough. No, it's actually pretty good. It's just this soil is also pretty bad batting here, so that might be why it's struggling a little bit. But I've got lots of new growth, and I hope that it will come back next year. This is Queen of Hearts Brunnera, so I was super happy to get this on clearance at Callaway's kind of at the beginning of the season in the spring. And here I have my pink Turkscap. I absolutely love it. I thought that it wasn't going to come back. It took so long to come back this year, and I don't know why. But now that it has, it's just, look at those beautiful pink blooms. They're so pretty. And it's just doing really well. This, I forgot to say, starting right here and on this way, this is all part shade now, so it's in the shade from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the most part. And so this is again plants that I can grow in part shade. So anyway, we've got more daylily here, and that's the peach variety. This is my Dwarf Alice Oakleaf Hydrangea, and it's doing fabulous. I cannot wait to see this guy next spring. I got it a year ago this October, and it had been heavily pruned when I got it and planted it. So I did not get any blooms this past spring, and I think it's because the blooms were all pruned off. So this next spring, I cannot wait to see the blooms. It's tripled, maybe quadrupled in size. Hey, there's that puppy. There she is. She just messing everything up. This is Gummy. She's 8-month-old Anatolian Shepherd pup. She was not supposed to be let outside, but someone let her outside because she messes up my garden tours. Anyway, so moving back on, it's quadrupled in size from last year, just 1 year of growth. I had a little bit of a fungal infection at the beginning of the season. I think I caught that perfectly. There's a little bit going on down here, but then you see all of the new growth is just fine. So I think that's going to be fine. And then here is the Kaleidoscope Abilea that I told you was not doing well. I've noticed this is actually more like a shade spot because it's next to our HVAC unit. And the HVAC unit blocks the sun that does come in 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So this is still in the shade all the time. I just realized that. And so we're going to move this guy. Like I said, it's going to go where the Mr. Goodbud Sedum is. And all will be well, I think. Hopefully, if it survives the transplant. We shall see. And then we've got Mexican Petunia right here, which is first year in the ground. Still kind of on the small side. But I absolutely love that there. And then we've got a canna lily there, which I'm going to keep that. So that pretty much concludes it, y'all. That's my part shade, part shade side garden. I'm fixing to put a ton of compost and pine bark wood mulch back here. It needs a whole new layer of everything. Again, this is a fairly new garden bed. It's only a couple years old, and the soil is still very clay-based back here. Not a lot of organic nutrients, so I need to add to that big time coming up here. So that's on my list of fall maintenance projects for sure. Let me see if I can get myself up here. stay tuned for a container garden tour. But until then, I thank you all so very much for watching. So happy with how the backyard garden tour looks this October. Like, look at these lovely blooms in October at the end of the season. I'm so happy. So thank you all so much. Have a fantastic day. Bye bye, everybody.